All right. Almost home, hey? What,
Yeah,
three,
almost.
3 more shows?
Yeah, 3 more shows, yeah.
Yeah, except then 6 more months, but
There's a few weeks off, I saw, or
Yeah,
something,
it's
right?
10
At least
days
you get a
off,
couple
yeah.
weeks at home.
sort of. We actually have a show in the middle too, so.
But
it's 4 days off.
like Mountain View is essentially LA, isn't
No,
it?
yeah, but no, that's in San Francisco. But then
Okay,
there's-
not even close. Never mind.
It's just, you
Whenever
know,
we have time off, there's always like stuff in the middle.
yeah, our
Yeah.
time off gets filled up with, oh, there's this here, there's this there, and then
Right.
you're always like, okay, well.
Yeah.
You want to stay busy, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. We want to, we want to get in front of people and play shows.
It's been crazy.
Yeah,
though.
play this record.
This
Play these
tour's
new
been-
tunes.
This tour's been by far our biggest tour ever, and I don't quite understand why, but it has.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of people coming out, in terms
Yeah,
of venue
it's
size,
like
in terms of what?
Everything, venue size, people.
Stage
Every
rigging?
night's basically sold out. Like it's crazy. Like and then it's also just like everyone knows all the songs and everything. It's weird. It's a whole other thing at this point.
Is
Yeah.
that new? Where people? No, you would think people know the lyrics to the songs before.
But like every song.
Yeah, there's
I
like,
don't think they know, like the big hits
yeah.
or whatever, but
There's, I mean, it hasn't been that long. There's like deeper cuts and people sing all the lyrics, and you're like, wow, that was interesting.
and like the entire front row is all like kids with airborne tattoos and stuff, and it's just it's not anything I would have expected.
So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that instead of what?
Can I talk about your shirt for a second?
My Back to the Future shirt.
Yeah,
You like
that's
that?
awesome. I just noticed it.
What's the Back to the Future theme you're always playing? What's it? I always get that.
That should be your
Jurassic
walk-on
Park.
music.
Yeah,
Oh, Jurassic Park's good too, though.
What's the Jurassic Park thing?
It's a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur.
We spit no.
No, I wish this was video. This is useless for my print article. But if this was video, this would be fantastic. Or radio or something. But maybe we'll talk about that. So maybe the band getting bigger and noticing the tattoos in the crowd. Is that obviously it's a good thing, but there must be a little bit of weirdness as well, because then you have to live up to those tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
A little bit.
we made a vow never to so that people would never be embarrassed of their tattoos.
We must be good.
Yeah, there's a sense of kind of like trying to dedicate yourself fully to something and pursuing it because people want you to represent kind of like the aspirations that you have. And so like that sense is really powerful on this record in particular, more so even than the last two. This one where it's like, okay, like really when you mean it and you have a year, what do you do? And so this record was sort of the expression of that.
It's interesting. You told me last year that there was hang on, what the hell did I write down? First song in the first song is actually a song from 6 years ago. That's actually the title track of the new record,
yeah, that
which is a
got
song
cut.
from it got cut, right? Because
Yeah.
there's no song called Such Hot Blood. So why did it get cut?
It just wasn't happening, man. Like it felt 6 years old to me. I don't know. I just didn't think it worked out that way. What do you think, Jenny?
I liked it. I mean, we had a good time recording it. I think that maybe as a piece for the album, for all of the songs on the record, they sort of probably felt more cohesive and
That one kind of just didn't quite fit in. But I always thought the title was really good because it was sort of like it was a good expression of what the band is. Like Such Hot Blood. Like
Oh, so that was you kept with that title.
yeah, that's why
Okay.
we kept the title because I always thought that title was very succinct and like it's like what connects these songs that are some of which are folk and some of which are electronic and some of which are these big epic rock songs together is just this like hot-bloodedness about life, and to just be kind of explicit about it and just be like, fuck it, man, I get upset. It made sense.
Yeah.
You sound like you were going to say something.
No, I was just clearing my throat. Sorry.
Anna said that the rest of the band takes his visions and brings it to life and makes it swing. So I'm glad you're here for this. How do you guys make it swing?
I think that like we all know each other so well at this point, and then Mikel brings a song that he's maybe we won't have seen him for a week or something. Come in with this song, and then I think we know each other to such an extent that we're like, all right, well, this is the story, and this is the emotional arc of the story. This is what's. So I think it's important to understand like where Mikel was when where his head was at, and then as much as we can sort of figure out instrumentation that can tell that story in the best way. And we're very we like go back and forth. There are a lot of things that we put in and we take out again. And we're very kind of we go through a long process of everyone just stuck in a rehearsal space, just with this song that Mikel wrote, and we just kind of try to come up with the best iteration of that song, just to be true to the song. I mean, it's still, you know, at the end of the day, it has to be the core of the song. It has to have a soul and meaning. But
I like
once you have that,
really weird rules about songwriting that like I can't quite explain, and then I try to explain to the band, and I think it sounds a little weird. So I just feel like whenever, remember the time I was like, you have to introduce an idea, then you have to dance about it. Remember?
I get it. It's a weird. I mean, he says all this stuff, and then like I'm like, okay, I think I followed.
And every now and then I'll say it in
Yeah.
front, and like I've never said it in front of people, only in my own head. Like it makes sense, and then I'll say it in front of the band, and then I'll be really embarrassed. That sounded so fucking stupid. What I just said, but it makes sense in my head. You know what I mean?
When you're talking about the emotion, trying to find the emotion that where he's coming from when he's
Right,
writing the
yeah.
song, do you mean lyrically or do you mean in
I don't know, musically,
musically, yeah.
or just in parts and in arrangement, and like just sort of let the quiet parts be quiet. If you know, you don't want to just fill up space just to fill up space.
is that something you've learned over the course of records? Because a lot of bands on first record, everyone wants to be playing, you know, all the time. I gotta have my licks in, I gotta have my key parts in, or whatever have you.
I mean, I definitely learned a lot through all these records, but I don't know. I think just the five of us, we put our heads together, and we come from such disparate musical backgrounds. Also, there's like a lot of similar and interesting intersections too. So
Like what?
Darren's our resident classic rock historian.
Okay.
And Noah's he has an upright jazz bass degree, but he also listens to like punk and Misfits and the Clash and all
Right.
that stuff. And Anna came into it a little bit later, but she has a classical music background as well. Mikel loves songwriters like Leonard Cohen, Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Dylan. So I mean, you can draw all the links.
Talking about everybody else, what are your influences?
It's a little bit of everything,
Johnny
but
Marr.
yeah. I started.
Johnny Marr. Okay.
Well, I have a very strong affinity towards a lot of like great '90s bands, but then I think I went backwards from there and I learned more about late '70s, early '80s New York punk, and then go back even further to I think I started listening to Velvet Underground probably after listening to Pigment, so sort of went in a roundabout way because my parents didn't really. They just listened to, like, my parents were immigrants to this country, so they didn't listen to any American music, so I had to kind of figure it out on my own. So I sort of found what I liked and moved backwards, yeah.
That's cool. What song changed the most when you guys made it swing? I really liked her saying that. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, Mikel?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. What did we actually alter? Maybe The Secret, because that started off as a whole other song. That started off as a song called The Way Home, and then we were trying to arrange that song in 10 different ways, and it wasn't quite working. But then one of the arrangements we thought was really cool, and we were like, well, what if that was just the song? And then I took that, and then the music, and then went home and wrote a song for it, and the song ended up being called The Secret. So I'd say that one, right?
Yeah, that was definitely changed.
Yeah. Or Safe, which we actually just wrote in the studio.
Yeah, I heard you didn't even know it was rolling.
Yeah,
kind of.
it's kinda
That's
like-
cool.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Shakira's good that
I
way.
didn't know
Yeah.
the parts that I ended up playing that are final on the record were the actual. I didn't know I was that was in my mind. Oh, we're practicing, and then I'll lay this down when I go and get it, and then I realized that was it, and I was like, oh my god, is it alright? And then I listened to it, and then you realize that there is this magic that happens in that moment of discovery, and I think we were able to get that on wax, as they say.
That's good. I don't know. There must be a vinyl on this record.
Yeah, there'll be
Yeah.
a vinyl.
Oh, there's not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet,
there's gonna be. We're working on it right now.
What do you mean by working on it? How does it differ
In
from the
response
record?
to popular demand.
I see. Okay, I
There's
gotcha.
gonna be some bonus tracks, probably some different album like artwork and stuff like that.
Talking about The Secret, it talks about tires and the road. Is this about one of these motorcycle journeys on your days off, or is this about something else?
It's about my car, Betty.
Oh, okay.
I have a car named Betty. I got a '66 Chevy Malibu. It's like black and chrome. It's got a ridiculously loud and ridiculously unsafe, dangerous, and fast engine. And I was riding around in Betty one day trying to figure out what the song was about, and then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, the song's about this. The song's about this kind of like wandering and this kind of lost feeling of like not knowing where you're going, but you're sort of comforted by the journey." And then the sense that like, in that particular moment for me, that like there's no secrets. Like everyone just kind of knows, everybody else's secret, whether they say it or not. You don't really have secrets from people. And and there's a certain freedom in recognizing that. Just being like, you know what, man, everyone gets it, everyone knows it, and stop trying to, because everyone's like terrified running around, worried that other people are going to figure out what their secret is. The thing is, everyone already knows. And everyone's got their own, and nobody cares, and so there's no secrets, and it's fine.
Well, just going back full circle to what we started talking about, as the band gets bigger, the secrets, everyone wants to know more. And that must be an interesting thing as this band grows. And you're like in the press constantly almost, and dealing with fame and all that stuff. So how's everyone, is that a conundrum? Is it fun?
Steven likes to secretly sacrifice baby goats.
What are you
Yeah.
It's really weird, man. I don't understand it. And then he'll like drink a port wine while he does it. He has this shaman come.
All of our we all have insane. We all
So
always
weird.
insane habits now.
Yeah.
Just to cope with the fame.
Yeah. It's
Amazing.
weird, it's disorienting, because you're like, you show up somewhere and there's thousands of people screaming that you're there, and then people like we walked out in Philly the other night after playing this festival with Phoenix and Passion Pit, and then we walked out to watch Phoenix's set, and literally people were yelled and screaming, were like crying and wanted to take pictures, and it was
With you or with Phoenix?
with us.
Oh, okay.
We walked out to watch Phoenix,
Gotcha,
and
I gotcha.
and it's really disorienting, and then you go from that to like sitting on a bus in a bunk by yourself in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, and you're totally lonely because your friends are like 5,000 miles away and you're not around your family, and so you go from being like part of a group, like a family or a group of friends, and just, you know, you've got shared history, you've got kind of, you know, how you are with your friends, people, you know, nobody's particularly bothered by what you do in life, and you're not bothered by them, you know each other, right? So it's like there's this kind of abiding kind of just concern for one another and inside jokes, and you do what you do. And then you go from that kind of steadiness of that to these like super highs of like massive idolatry, and then these super lows of like massive loneliness. And it's really disorienting. It really fucks with you. And you spend a lot of time having little talks with yourself, being like, this isn't real. This isn't real. This is just people freaking out, and there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, or, you know, or like the loneliness. It's like, this isn't real. This is just you're sitting on a bus in the middle of the night and you can't sleep because, you know, because you can't. Like this isn't as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems. And try to connect back to that person that you were like before you left on tour.
Is it hard to adjust to life when you do get home? I've been talking to a lot of bands about that recently, just about how the tour is so regimented. Everyone, like you're saying, you have that the fame of it all, and just the rigidity of tour. Yeah. People can get you food when you want it, and everything's kind of just like.
Yeah. The
guy from Frightened Rabbit was telling me it's almost like you're babied in a way, because you have people doing stuff for you. But then when you get home, it's like, shit, I'm by myself again.
Yeah. Why do I have to wait in line?
Yeah, right.
Fuck? Somebody get me a Whole Foods salad.
So
what is happening?
Is it hard to adjust to getting home?
It's
the opposite of what
I
you're
think
saying.
it's different for everyone, but
I need like 2 weeks to sit alone and do something. So I can't even be around people for a couple of weeks. It takes me a little while. Because it's weird. You finish a set and you walk out and there's people literally crying, and like
that's a good feeling too.
No, it is. It's a great feeling. I mean, in our band, you know, you have everything from like a 14-year-old girl to like a 40-year-old man. I remember, where was this? This was in like Austin. And they're like throwing roses at us, and there's people with signs, and I walk out afterwards, and there's this like girl, and she's crying. She's like, you don't understand, your music changed my life. To like, then like 3 people down, I was like shaking hands, and there's this guy who's like this 40-year-old man, and he had tears in his eyes. He's like, thank you. And then you sort of tell yourself, okay, take that with a grain of salt. Don't get too wrapped up in that. And then at the same time, it's like, no, because it changed you. It really is real. Because like the record really was an expression of your own deepest sort of fears and hopes and wishes and desires and expressions of creativity, and so it's like you really did mean it. So it's like at the same time as you take it with a grain of salt, you also like agree, and not because you feel like you're, you know, it's all about you and you're so great. I don't mean it like that, but I mean it's like these ideas inspired you too, and so that you can have that moment where you share that with people. It's really fucking intense. And then you get on the bus and you're just alone sitting there in your bunk.
Back to the loneliness and isolation. What's one of those songs that people are coming up to you and talking about a lot?
Elizabeth?
Yeah, Elizabeth is
interesting.
We get a lot of people screaming, Elizabeth, Elizabeth.
Bride and Groom. For some reason.
That's an interesting tune. It's different than anything you guys have done before. I like
the
that
weird
one.
songs. Elizabeth, Bride and Groom, Fifth Day. Those 3 on this record, and The Storm. All the ones that are a little bit weird are the ones that people seem to be really drawn to. And
weird how so? Why are they? Because
like
they don't fit the Airborne format?
3-minute just departure from the kind of like it establishes a lyrical structure. It's got this kind of like incantatory sort of whispery structure, and then suddenly it's whistling, and then the next thing you know, there's an orchestra. And from a purely just kind of like songwriter structural standpoint, the song makes no sense. But then from an emotional journey standpoint, it makes complete sense. Or at least it did to me, and I feel like maybe now it does to others. And so people seem to be really drawn to that. Or like Bride and Groom, the structure of that song is A, B, C, D, A, B, C. Like it doesn't make any sense, and it's almost like a novel. Like you just these little vignettes of these scenes about these two people. It's like Annie Hall or something. You just watch these two people go through these series of events, and by the end, you sort of identify with them and you know them, and just like how sad they are to be losing each other. But then at the same moments where they were so upset because they wanted to be together, and then there's just a real strong abiding love, and you can hear it. And like I feel it too because I was there, and so. It's weird. It's different than just, here's the song and here's the chorus and here's the catchy hook, because it doesn't follow those rules at all. And I feel like people that don't know our band maybe don't get it at first. They're not listening for that. They're listening for where's the drop, where's the hook, where's the chorus. And it takes a while for people to go, oh wait, it's not about that. It's about the story. And then I feel like once people get that, they go, oh my God, this is like a whole world. Because that's like, we sort of put out records like they're books.
Well, you told me you wanted this one to sound like a movie.
Yeah, well, like a movie or a novel. Like you've spent time with characters, almost like you could watch it on a screen or you could envision them in your mind the way you do with a good novel.
So is this record, it's not a concept, but like, is it about two characters' journey throughout the record? Like if I were listening to the record cohesively, it would make sense from start to finish?
I think it's more that there's a tautness to the emotional life of the record. That the last two records weren't as disciplined, I think, and this one, it's almost like I feel like I was a writer in this, and like when you're a new writer, your first two novels are always basically just autobiography, and then your third novel usually is less ambitious, but is the one where you finally understand like you're telling a story, and that's all you're doing, and your only job is to do that and just shut the fuck up, get out of the way, and tell your story, and that's when you become a good writer, when you're just thinking about your reader. And like that is what happened with this record. It's the first record where it's like we're just thinking about the listener. What is the experience of the listener, and how can we make that world emotionally taut and make it sort of vital and alive and real? And if anything that doesn't follow that is cut, period. And really, really strict about that. And this is the first record I think was like that. And in that way, it's sort of like a novella.
That's interesting. Sorry, I haven't asked you anything in a while.
No, this is interesting to me as well.
Yeah, you've heard this like 1,000 times. How many of these do you do every day? Like
no,
6,
actually,
7?
I mean, it's different every time.
We don't talk like this about music.
Yeah, this is
usually
I
more
haven't
like,
heard
hey,
this
what's that
before.
part?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm here. I'm here to get you guys to learn about each other.
Chenny.
Mikel, we've done this before, but let's do 5 questions. 5 quick questions, one word answers.
Okay.
Road or studio?
Road. Oh,
Well, you don't need to answer. You did this already.
Oh, sorry.
I want to hear his answers. Road or studio? You said road.
Road, yeah.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
When you hear a song, what usually hits you first? Lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Melody.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
God damn it.
Actually, you can answer this one too because I want to see if it changes. If it's changed since the new record. Yeah, it has changed.
Are you asking on the record or?
No, out of anything you've written ever.
The bands of our
Yeah, let's do Airborne songs.
Yeah,
so it fits into context.
Yeah, I don't know, Mikel, you go first.
He said Bridegroom.
Oh, Bridegroom. I'm trying to think. Maybe
Your parts
All at Once.
All at Once were
All at Once,
pretty
yeah,
epic,
sorry.
Cool.
I was gonna say All at Once.
Chen and I wrote that together, and his parts are really fucking epic. That's not.
Yeah, it's a good tune. Well, it was a hit too, wasn't it? I played it on the radio at some point, didn't I?
Yeah,
The
it
single?
was sort
Yeah.
of like it
Yeah.
got synced a lot. It was like one of those songs that it didn't get played on the radio or anything like
I
that, but
played it a
it
little
just
bit.
sort of became like a thing that was big online, and like it was in like a bunch of different movies and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
we
funny.
either open our shows or we end our shows.
I thought you closed with Missy.
Okay, well, before the encore, it's
Oh,
become like
gotcha.
a really like a substantial like bookend to. I don't know. It's very.
Yeah, no, it's a good closer. I see.
But
what you're saying.
yeah, I mean that song does mean a lot to me too. So, yeah.
Cool. In one word, the Airborne Toxic Event. He said he couldn't last time, so maybe you can give me an answer this time. We got time. It's all good. Actually, I don't know if we have time. It's up to Amanda. but-
I don't know, catharsis.
Oh, that's good.
I'm agree with it. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Dude, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I didn't go
so
to.
good, man.
I never.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I never asked
This
you
is
any
good.
of my questions.
This is a great one.
Well, thanks.
You always ask good questions, man.
Because I don't.
Can you
Well,
teach
but
a
I
class
didn't.
on how to
But I didn't do any of
You
it.
could actually teach this woman the interview.